Chapter 4. The Manipulator's Mindset, Understanding Their Psychology and Motives. In the previous chapters, we've explored the common tactics of manipulators and the devastating psychological toll they take on victims. However, to truly protect yourself from their influence, it's essential to understand what drives manipulators to act the way they do. Why do they manipulate, and what needs are they trying to fulfill? In this chapter, we will delve into the psychology of manipulators, examine the core motives behind their behavior, and explore how they select their targets. Understanding these elements is crucial for both recognizing their behavior early and protecting yourself from their harmful influence. The psychological profile of a manipulator. Manipulators, regardless of their individual backgrounds or circumstances, tend to exhibit certain psychological traits that allow them to deceive, control, and emotionally exploit others. While there may be nuances in the behavior of each manipulator, these traits serve as common threads that reveal how they function. 1. Lack of empathy. At the core of most manipulators is a significant lack of empathy. They do not genuinely care about the emotional well-being of others. Instead, they see people as tools to be used to meet their own needs and desires. The inability to empathize allows them to exploit others without guilt, shame, or remorse. Scientific insight. Studies on psychopathy and narcissism show that these individuals exhibit significantly reduced activity in the brain regions responsible for empathy and emotional regulation, Blair, 2018. This neurological deficit helps explain why manipulators can disregard the pain and suffering they cause others. Example: Chris, a manipulative individual, would pretend to be concerned when his partner was going through a difficult time. However, once he had extracted whatever he needed from her emotionally or materially, he would quickly become indifferent, showing no real care for her well-being. 2. Pathological lying. Manipulators are habitual liars who can twist the truth so seamlessly that they often believe their own fabrications. These lies are used to manipulate others, protect themselves from accountability, or achieve a desired outcome. The more convincing the lie, the easier it is for the manipulator to control the situation. Example: Sarah's boss was a skilled manipulator who regularly deflected blame for mistakes onto his employees. Even when confronted with undeniable evidence, he would create elaborate stories and excuses, denying any wrongdoing and placing the responsibility on others. 3. Sense of superiority. Many manipulators believe they are superior to others. This inflated sense of self-worth makes them feel entitled to control and manipulate those around them. Their superiority complex often manifests as arrogance, condescension, or blatant disregard for others' opinions and feelings. Scientific insight. Research on narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, reveals a strong correlation between grandiosity and manipulative behavior. Miller et al., 2016. Manipulators often perceive themselves as more deserving, capable, or intelligent than others, reinforcing their sense of entitlement. Example: Daniel, a manipulative individual at work, belittled his colleagues, making them feel inferior while elevating his own status. He frequently dismissed their input and took credit for their work, reinforcing his sense of superiority in the office. Why do manipulators manipulate? Understanding the underlying reasons why manipulators engage in harmful behaviors is crucial for understanding how to protect oneself from their influence. Manipulators don't manipulate for no reason. There are specific psychological motives that drive their actions. Let's break down some of the most common motivations. 1. Power and control. The primary motive for many manipulators is a desire for power and control over others. Manipulation allows them to dominate situations and bend others to their will. This desire for control can stem from various psychological needs, including insecurity, fear of vulnerability, or a need to feel superior. Example: a controlling partner might isolate their significant other from friends and family to make them more dependent, thus ensuring that they can maintain authority over them. By limiting the victim's support system, the manipulator ensures that they remain the primary source of influence in the victim's life. 2. Insecurity and fear of rejection. Some manipulators act out of deep-seated insecurity. These individuals often fear abandonment or rejection and will use manipulation as a means of maintaining control to prevent being left behind. For these manipulators, control is a way to prevent feelings of inadequacy or worthlessness. Example: a narcissistic parent may guilt-trip their child into constant obedience, fearing that their child will outgrow them or no longer need them. The manipulator may convince the child that their love is conditional on meeting certain demands or expectations, reinforcing dependency. 3. Lack of emotional maturity. Many manipulators lack the emotional maturity to deal with their feelings in healthy ways. They may not have learned appropriate coping strategies for handling conflict, vulnerability, or stress. Instead of facing their emotions directly, they manipulate others to fulfill their emotional needs and maintain control over their environment. Scientific insight. Studies suggest that individuals with low emotional intelligence, EI, are more likely to engage in manipulative behaviors to navigate social interactions. Lopez et al., 2005. These individuals struggle with emotional regulation and often rely on manipulation as a defense mechanism. How manipulators select their targets. Manipulators don't choose their victims randomly. They carefully select individuals who they perceive as easier to control. There are certain traits that make individuals more vulnerable to manipulation. Understanding these traits can help individuals protect themselves from becoming targets. 1. High empathy and kindness. Manipulators often target empathetic and compassionate individuals because they are more likely to give others the benefit of the doubt and tolerate problematic behaviors. These individuals also tend to feel responsible for the emotional well-being of others, making them susceptible to guilt-tripping and emotional exploitation. Example: Jessica, a nurse known for her kind and caring nature, consistently forgave her manipulative partner's deceitful behavior, hoping that he would change. Her empathetic nature made it difficult for her to establish boundaries, and she often overlooked his faults in favor of maintaining the relationship. 2. Low self-esteem. People with low self-worth are particularly vulnerable to emotional abuse and manipulation. When individuals believe they are not deserving of respect or love, they are more likely to tolerate mistreatment. Manipulators exploit this vulnerability by reinforcing the victim's insecurities, convincing them that they need to stay in the relationship to avoid being alone. Scientific insight. Studies indicate that individuals with low self-esteem are more likely to remain in toxic relationships due to the fear of abandonment and rejection. Baumeister et al., 2003. This makes them easy targets for manipulators who prey on their need for validation and affection. 3. People pleasers. People who struggle with saying no and have a strong desire to please others are prime targets for manipulation. Manipulators know that these individuals will go to great lengths to avoid conflict, and they will exploit this willingness to accommodate others by demanding favors or sacrifices. Example: Mark's manipulative co-worker repeatedly dumped extra work on him, knowing he would be too afraid to refuse. Mark, unable to say no, found himself overwhelmed and overworked, while the manipulative co-worker continued to take advantage of his accommodating nature. The manipulator's toolkit: how they maintain control. Now that we've explored the manipulator's mindset, let's take a closer look at the tools they use to maintain control over their victims. These tactics are designed to keep the victim in a state of confusion, fear, and dependency, ensuring that the manipulator's influence remains intact. 1. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most powerful tools in the manipulator's arsenal. By distorting reality and making the victim question their perceptions, the manipulator keeps them off balance and dependent. This constant doubt can lead to significant psychological damage, as victims lose trust in their own thoughts and memories. Example: the manipulator might say, "I never said that. You must be imagining things," even when the victim clearly remembers the conversation. Over time, the victim begins to doubt their own memory and perception, creating confusion and dependency. 2. Guilt tripping. Manipulators often use guilt as a tool to control their victims. They make their victims feel responsible for their unhappiness, reinforcing the idea that the victim must comply with their demands to make things right. Example: "If you really cared about me, you would do this for me," is a common phrase used by manipulators to make the victim feel as though they're the cause of the manipulator's distress. This emotional manipulation often leads the victim to prioritize the manipulator's needs over their own. 3. Playing the victim. Another common tactic is for the manipulator to play the victim, turning the tables on the real victim. By framing themselves as the wrong party, manipulators manipulate the emotions of others to gain sympathy and avoid accountability. Example: "After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me," is a classic manipulation technique used to shift the blame onto the victim and make them feel guilty for asserting their boundaries or standing up for themselves. Breaking free from the manipulator's grip. Escaping a manipulator's control is challenging, but it is entirely possible with awareness and deliberate action. Here are some strategies to break free. 1. Recognizing the patterns. Awareness is the first step. Start by keeping a journal to track manipulative behaviors and identify patterns. Recognizing these behaviors early can help you take action before the situation worsens. 2. Setting boundaries. Be firm in saying no and refusing to be guilt-tripped. Establish clear boundaries and hold the manipulator accountable for crossing them. Setting boundaries is crucial in regaining control over your life. 3. Seeking external validation. Speak with trusted friends, family members, or a therapist to gain perspective. External validation can help you see things more clearly and prevent the manipulator from isolating you from those who would offer support. 4. Rebuilding self-esteem. Engage in self-affirmation exercises and therapy to rebuild your confidence. Strengthening your sense of self-worth is essential for resisting manipulation and regaining control of your life. Conclusion: understanding the manipulator's mindset is key to breaking free from their influence. Their need for power, control, and emotional exploitation drives their behavior. But by recognizing their tactics and understanding their psychological motivations, you can protect yourself. In the next chapter, we will explore how to effectively confront a manipulator and reclaim your personal power. Stay strong, stay aware, and remember, you have the strength to break free from their grip. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more, and don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share your thoughts with us. We're in this journey together.